Hello, hello. My name is Unoriginal, and I'm going to be casting a 1 versus 1. This is actually, the first game in the series between MVP and Select at Blizzcon 2011. I know that I already cast the third game. That was an accident. I actually didn't check which one it was before I casted it, and that really was a bad idea. However, I'm just going to roll with it and pretend it never happened. Because I didn't really mention it in the third game anyways. So hopefully it won't make that much difference. Not that anyone watches these videos anyways, because I'm terrible at this. But, practicing, getting better. Hopefully at some point I'll be able to do this without cringing as I listen to what I said. It's always a process, especially when the process is just starting out. Anyways, we're going to be seeing Select spawning on the right side as red Terran. I'm going to see MVP spawning on the left side as blue Terran. And the map's going to be Shakura's Plateau, which obviously is sort of a more macro favored game. We see a very easy to defend natural here with a nice ramp and high ground that you can use as Terran in particular to siege up and really have a solid defense point there. So this map can favor longer games, but you never know what you're going to see. TVT tends to also be a fairly slow matchup. Not saying that it's slow paced, but the fact is that generally you just see people, or in the mirror matchup TVT, you see people going for more sort of slow paced tank marine play, Viking, stuff that's very position oriented and takes a lot of time to set up. So we might see some of that, we might not, however, because both these players are very creative and love interesting plays, so we might see something totally different from the norm, and that's always fantastic to see as a Terran player. I like seeing how pros play, and it looks like we will be seeing an early tech lab coming off of this barracks, not going for any Marines whatsoever. We'll see MVP going out for a little scout. Looks like he will be going to the right base right away. They are, in fact, in the top positions rather than the cross positions, which can make a slight difference, but it's not really that big of a deal. And we will see Select being, going for factory before a second barracks. Very standard play. We'll also see a second refinery going up. He'll probably be going for tanks or banshees or something early. We do see that this SCV has identified the base and knows what is going on. He sees that there's two supply depots in the barracks, so there might be some nasty stuff going on in there. And what looks like his response is going to be getting early Reapers. Something that you don't always see, of course, in TVT, but it's a very smart move if your opponent is going for a 1-1-1 build or something that's slow. We'll see this Reaper is going to be able to pick off one SCV before getting terrified by these two Marines. We will see another Reaper coming out, as well as two more barracks and an early expand. Wow, this is an interesting build to be sure. I guess that MVP is ready to deal with any sort of Banshee play. These two more barracks, assuming that they're not going to be mass-producing Reapers, which would be kind of weird. I mean, this is already sort of weird, but that would just be totally weird and would blow my mind. They're probably going to be building Marines, which will be able to defend against this early Banshee. And we will see that these Reapers are going to be swinging around the natural and might be able to pop up this ramp due to the fact that these Marines are kind of far back. And this barracks is going to be landing even further back, opening up the wall. None that matters because Reapers can fly. Well, they can jump up cliffs. It's the same thing. But it looks like they will not be able to do any sort of damage. They will be deterred by these four pesky Marines. And we will see a reactor coming up on this barracks. And we will see... is this the second Banshee? Or is this just the first? It must just be the first. I'm really bad at observing these things. And I apologize for that. So we will see a Banshee going out, and it will be going over to MVP's base. It looks like MVP has an idea of what's going on. I'm not sure what tipped him off. Maybe I missed something. Maybe he got a nice scan, or he just had units around. But he will be in position to defend against this Banshee. It looks like Combat shield will be done just in time as well for any sort of engagement, which is of course a very important thing when you're taking on Banshees with Marines, due to the fact that it gives them the durability to survive 3 volleys instead of 2, which is very important and allows you to defend against Banshees much easier. And we'll see the command center going up finally for Select. It looks like it's been up for 50 seconds or so. So, kind of slow timing, especially on this map. But you know, he's going for the 1-1-1 build. And sacrificing that early economy for some early units that are of higher tiers. So that could either pay off or it could not. At this point, it looks like it has paid off pretty well, though. This Banshee's at 6 kills. And while that isn't game-changing, it is a pretty good advantage for him to be at. Granted, there are 13 Marines on the field as opposed to 1 Banshee and 7 Marines. And Select has managed to drop the SUV numbers below his own, despite the fact that MVP has 2 bases to produce on. Looks like he is not using his energy as well as he could, but he's probably saving up for scans. Looks like he will use one. This Banshee will be forced to back off for at least now. We'll see another Banshee coming out, and it will probably be able to do some sort of damage as well, due to the fact that 2 Banshees attacking from 2 spots is very hard to deal with unless you have static defense, which MVP does have. Pretty good positioning too, if I say so myself, not that it means anything. But he will probably be able to defend against this very well. We see that there's nothing at this expansion so far, basically. It looks like the missile surge have just swung around, tried to shoot the Banshee, but it got away. Looked kind of silly, if you ask me. This Banshee is only able to get 1 kill at this point. MVP being very vigilant with his Marines, able to stop any sort of massive damage. Looking at the units lost, we do see that he has lost significant amounts to these Banshees, but at the same time he's had the expansion up for longer. His money is a bit lower though, which is not something you want to see. But, you know, he's not in a terrible situation at this point. He has a lot of Marines on the field. He doesn't have tanks yet. Looks like he will be getting the tech lab on that factory. Probably going to switch into tank mode. Looks like he will also be getting a reactor starport and throwing out some medevacs, which can be used for a multitude of things, either dropping or healing or both. So, always a good unit to get. Of course, I don't even know why I'm saying this, but you know, medevacs, they're good. They're way better than dropships or in Brood War. We'll see a bunker being dropped down in front of the natural, able to defend against that quite well, and we'll see this Banshee poking around, trying to do some more damage. It looks like he'll be able to pick off that SUV and stop that supply depot from being able to finish, which could be annoying, to say the least, for MVP. But it looks like it won't be a big deal. That supply depot will finish off with just a little bit of a delay, as its original creator got killed in the process, which is not something you want to happen. Not something you want to have happen to you, especially when you're making such an artful thing as a supply depot. It's beautiful, but you know, no one likes art, so you gotta kill the artists. I don't even know what I'm saying. Looks like there will be a drop, but it will be stopped fairly easily by Select. I feel like you should switch into some Vikings here, just due to the fact that this medevac is going to be able to fly around totally uncontested. Looks like he will be dropping. I don't know what that was about, though. We saw MVP lose pretty much all of those Marines for basically nothing. I don't think he killed a single SCV there. That was kind of interesting. It looks like there was a drop at the same time that I missed because I'm an idiot. It looks like it wasn't super successful either. I do see some blood spatters here, and I see that these Marines are kind of injured. So it might have done significant damage, and we see that this Banshee will be cleaned up by the incoming Marines. Looking at the unit stat, we do see that at this point MVP has not been able to do a ton of damage with his drops. He has lost more money than his opponent has, but you know, he's not in a terrible situation by any means. Looking at the units tab, we see that it's almost even, except for MVP has slightly more Marines and Select has slightly more siege tanks, and now we also see Vikings on the field for MVP, which will be able to clear off the one Banshee and any more that pop out, as well as these medevacs that are on their way. So we will see MVP moving out to the middle of the map. This Banshee is doing as much as it can. It's done a beautiful job this game, having 13 kills. Obviously something that you always want to have happen with all your Banshees. I mean, if all your Banshees had 13 kills, you would win every single game ever. But of course, that doesn't happen in most cases. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking without thinking, and it's kind of dumb. But whatever. It's still fun. I enjoy doing this. So, I'll just do it, even though it makes me sound like a total idiot. That's okay. And we'll see that this Marine is poking up to the bases to the south of Select, seeing exactly what's going on. It's going to be very disappointing because there's absolutely nothing happening. Of course, MVP is going to be happy about that, because that means he's probably ahead as far as the economy game, and yes, we see that he is fairly ahead. Most of that's due to the mules, though. Those OP mules. They're OP even in a mirror matchup, you know. And, well, Select is kind of failing to get this refinery fully saturated. I do this all the time, of course. However, I'm not a pro player, so it doesn't hurt me nearly as much. But it is something he probably wants to think about. Getting saturation around the refinery is pretty important, you know, if you want to keep building tanks at the same rate as your opponent. Which are pretty good units in a TVT. I mean, it's not like it's the, you know, what did they call them? Actually, crap, I just forgot the word for real. Oh, God. That's embarrassing. But, you know, they're a very important unit in a TVT, which is what I'm trying to get at. But, of course, I failed. And we will see that this tank is just enraged to not get sniped by the other tanks. Always something you want to happen is have your tanks not get sniped. We'll see that those Marines accidentally got picked up, or maybe it wasn't an accident. It looks like there will be a drop coming from Select. We'll see how much damage it'll be able to do later. I'm looking at the queued up path. We see that, yes, it will be dropping, but it looks like it will be spotted by this Marine, which will be very desperately trying to attack it, and we will see that MVP will be totally prepared for this. So this drop is probably not going to do anything at all. We'll see a couple Marines going in and taking out that poor little Marine that was trying to do his job. And we'll actually see that MVP is going for a counter drop to stop this drop. We will have the advantage because he'll be able to get out earlier, and it looks like that will be it for the... Oh! Only being able to get 2 Marines out of that medevac before they all got cleared up. That's going to even up the supply considerably and put MVP in the lead as far as resources not lost. Is that a term? It is now. So, MVP feeling pretty good at this point. I mean, his saturation is excellent. Obviously a little oversaturated at this base. And this base is pretty much perfect, actually. That's pretty cool. And we'll see that he'll be able to switch to that third, which is up pretty much perfectly. And he'll be able to put his income way ahead of his opponents once those units finally get over there. And we'll see a ton of Marines for Select just hanging around, defending his third that doesn't yet exist. But it will soon, and it looks like MVP will lose all of those units, including the medevac. Never something you want to have happen to you, but hey, sometimes you can't help it. We'll see an enormous drop on the low ground from MVP to be able to take out these missile turrets and sensor towers. I mean, that's not bad. It's not bad, especially with that tower gone. You can drop without Select being aware in the future, which could be very devastating to Select's economy, as well as just in general. And we will see that he will be rushing in as he unsieges, perfectly timed. I feel like if MVP had left those tanks to die, he might have actually gotten a decent amount of kills, but you know, sometimes seeing the Marines die and just in huge numbers is not worth losing a few tanks that cost more in resources. I know it's weird thinking that gore is not something you always want, even though it looks cool and makes you feel badass. But yeah, I commend MVP for doing the economic thing, getting his tanks out of there before they rained hell on those Marines and then got rained hell on by the tanks / still alive Marines. I am just talking, and it looks like MVP will be dropping on these tanks that are totally undefended. It'll be absolutely devastating. You see MVP will clear this entire thing up and will be able to siege up, and it looks like those Marines get a few volleys of tanks. raining hell on them, who will be forced to back up. These tanks will be able to hold this position, and MVP will be forced to back off. But you know, he's in a great position at this point. Looking at the units lost, we see that Select has lost almost twice as many resources. He's just now getting his third up. There's no gas at this yet. You see that MVP also has his fourth, and you will see that these tanks will be able to cancel that and will be able to outrange the planetary fortress. That's something that is very good to know, that unsieged tanks actually outrange a planetary if it doesn't have the range upgrade. I didn't actually know that. It was really good to know. These Marines just got in the worst airplane of all time. It's almost dead. Just a couple volleys from the Marines we got. It looks like we're going to see Select going for an all-in desperation attack to try to break this contain, but no, it's just not enough. And it looks like, yes, that'll be GG, and Select will leave the game and give MVP his first victory in the series. Very solid win from MVP. Very solid plays from both players, of course, but MVP proving to just have a better build and being able to respond to situations better in this game, at least. Of course, that's not necessarily true for all games, but yeah, that was a pretty fantastic game. Was pretty super exciting, and I'm looking forward to casting the next one. So, anyways, my name is Unoriginal, and I'm signing off.